team says about each other. You know,
Right.
I think it's an opportunity to build each other up and all that. But you know what? That comes with the territory. You know, you're not here in New York if you can't handle the heat. And there's probably some people that can't. But for me, I understand it's the business, and, you know, you're not going to please everybody all the time.
You like the give and take.
Well, I do like the give and take, but I also look at it this way. Again, if I'm true to myself, then I'm not going to have any regrets. You know, now, did I do everything perfect? Of course not. You know, I make mistakes all the time, you know, but I'm trying to learn from it.
All right, let me get to football now. You really believe, as we sit here on August 11th, you have the best team in this league right now?
I do.
Why?
I do. I just think when you look at it, number one, we'll start with our defense. It's hard to argue that. Over the last 2 years, we've probably had the number one defense in the league. And probably, you know, who knows how many categories. I know not sacks, but we got a great defense.
Well, I give you two knocks on your defense, okay? Number one, you were a little thin on the defensive line last year, probably wore down a little bit.
That's true.
And you don't have pure pass rushes that some teams might have, where you can get it just by lining up three guys and rushing the quarterback. You might have trouble getting to the quarterback that way compared to other teams. And for a very good defense, which you are, you don't score a whole lot. Your defense has not scored a whole lot since you've been here.
And that's something we pride ourselves in, and you know, clearly we got to get better at that. You would think. You
think that's a fair criticism?
I do, and I think, you know, when you look at the depth, that's why we entered the draft the way we did. We ended up adding two guys, and really three, because Rapati, as you'll see him out here, it's hard not to miss him. 6'9", 310.
Did you make a mistake with Ellis?
No, I mean, you're not allowed to, you know, in this, you can't bring everybody back.
Right.
That's as simple as that. But when you
is he a guy that you wanted to bring back and you just misread the market, or did you not care if you didn't bring him back?
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't care. I think that's a little strong. But when you see the defensive line we have out here, you'll be impressed. You know, this has been one, you know, the defensive line's been dominating you know, so far in the training camp. All these young guys, this is one of the most talented, hard-working groups I've ever been around.
We're talking with Rex Ryan on the Fan Yes Network out here at camp. There's three things I'd say over the first 2 years. I mean, no one could question about your defense being good, being well coached, doesn't score, doesn't have the greatest conventional pass rush, and you're not a good red zone offensive team. And which is probably why Plaxico Burress is here, because he'll give you a big target there. You probably have attempted more field goals than anybody in the league in the last 2 years. I think you have. You did last year, and I don't know if you did for 2 years. Red zone offense and the whole idea of Burress, is that why he's here? And number two, why is Tom Moore here?
Well, I think first off, when you look at the, you know, we were poor last year in the red zone. You know, there's no question about it. What would our record be if we were better? If we were, say, in the top half, probably be much better.
Right.
But so that's an area without question we have to get better.
Which Burress could help a lot right there, clearly.
He could with that size, because you know, it's one of those rare guys that when he's covered, he's open.
And he catches it too.
He does.
Yeah.
As you guys know in this area, but it's. But that wasn't the only reason we brought him in. You know, I think he can.
Do you worry about him, age-wise, 28 months in jail, and just the fact that he hasn't been the easiest guy to coach? Do you worry about him?
No, shoot. I think worry's definitely not a word I would associate with Plaxico.
Okay.
It's, you know, anytime you get a guy who's up there in age and things like that, you might have some concern, but I'm not worried at all about him. I think when you look at our receiving core, I think it's going to be outstanding. When you combine Plaxico coming in with Santonio Holmes, who's one of the best receivers in the league, and Derek Mason, I mean, those are three talented guys and excellent proven receivers in this league. And then you got a young man named Curley, I think, is going to be impressive.
Who's going to replace Brad Smith, I gather, right? He's probably got a chance, right?
I don't know if you can replace Brad Smith.
But he's going to try.
I mean? But yeah, he'll do some of the, similar roles, that's for sure.
Tom Moore. Now, you're very generous to your assistant coaches. You compliment them a lot. A lot of coaches don't. You do. You've done that a lot since you've been here. You've been very complimentary towards your offensive coordinator, who took a lot of heat in the playoffs. And, hey, listen, offensive coordinators always take a lot of heat. I mean, especially in playoff games. If you were the defensive coordinator and they brought Dom Capers in, would you be ticked off? If he was in camp with you, would you be ticked off?
No.
Should he be ticked off that Tom Moore's here?
No way. I would take it as a chance to get better. Like, let's pick his brain and all that. We had a guy, less known, a guy named Vic Fangio, who now is the.
No, what a very good guy too. Yeah,
and a good coach.
Yeah, very good coach. Yeah.
So when we had a chance to bring him in as a consultant, I'm like, please.
So as a coach, you should never take that as a slight, right?
No, I mean, there's no way.
Okay.
I mean, I would take it as, I want to get better. See, that's the type of coach I am, and I think that's the way Brian is. And this is an opportunity. You're getting a guy who's been there and done that about 5 times over.
37 years in the league.
Right.
Coached great offense.
Exactly.
So you brought him in to kind of – was that all your idea to bring him in? I mean, you're obviously okayed it. You're the boss. But, I mean, was that your idea to bring him in?
Yeah, absolutely. But I went through Shoddy because of those. I just want to make sure that – and I know Shoddy once, he comes with a similar background.
Right, he's a coach's son, right.
So it's like, hey, look, we got a chance. What do you think about this guy? Coming in, and that'll be your guy that you bounce things off of. And that's great, So, he was, like if I had Buddy Ryan come in, or whatever, then why wouldn't you do that? Whoever, Bill Belichick coaching the defense, so you do it in a second.
Well, I just think you wonder if it is perceived that you want your offensive coordinator either to change or you want him to see things maybe from a different light, or maybe you're not happy with a portion of the way he runs a certain part of his offense or his personnel or something like that.
I just thought it was an opportunity.
Okay.
When I look at it, it's an opportunity for our football team to get better and for Brian to have, get another guy that he can bounce things off of, and a guy that's, actually sat in that same chair. And when you look at the red zone specifically, the Colts are always number 1 in the league. Them and New England are 1 and 2 in the league every year. They might change out, but
got a good
those are the two teams. They got a great quarterback. There's no question that helps. And we got a young one that's going to be a great one.
All right. What do you expect from your quarterback this year?
I expect him to make huge leaps in just the leadership and ownership of this team, because it really is. It is going through him. This was an unusual time. Some teams get better, some teams get worse in these types of situations. We try to get better as an organization. You talked about adding Tom Moore. We went around and saw like experts in the field, like some old retired coaches that were tremendous coaches. We brought them in. I went to see Joe Gibbs. So I just thought there was an opportunity to get better. And
what'd you
Mark
ask Joe
Sanchez,
Gibbs? What'd you want to talk to Joe Gibbs about?
Well, Joe Gibbs won when they had 2 strikes, or
he won both strike years. He won both strike
Super Bowl,
years.
both strike years.
Both strike years.
I wanted to see about that whole thing, what he did, and I picked up some things from him without question.
No, that's interesting. That's the take. I mean, he didn't miss games this year, nor did you miss training camp, but he did win both strike years.
Both strike years.
And he won with 3 different quarterbacks, too.
Yeah, and he's won. He's won 3 Super Bowls with 3 quarterbacks,
yes.
And he's won 3 NASCAR championships. So there's something about that guy.
All right. When you look at it, do you ever feel that you have put your team in a precarious position by anything you say? Do you ever think that you somehow went too far and either put one thing people say is, they put a target on a team's back, which I'm not a big believer in that myself.
Right.
But also, I think it can start to ring hollow if there's too many predictions,
Well,
Patrick Ewing made a lot of predictions here. Patrick Ewing, God bless him, made 1,000,000 predictions. He never got a prediction home. Messier is a god because he got his prediction home,
Right.
Namath got his prediction home. Ewing never got a prediction home. You've made some predictions so far. I mean, You're going to stay in the prediction business.
Well, I look at it this way. I have one goal. I mean, we have one goal from the day I walked in here, and that's to win a Super Bowl. I never came here to go to the championship game. That's part of it. That's great.
But that's everybody's goal, right? Whether you say it or not, it's got to be everybody's goal.
But that's why I don't understand why I'm so different than everybody else. Maybe it's because I do say it. But, and now look, after we win it, you don't have to put me in that God category.
I promise we won't. I promise. And you still got to see. You didn't win it yet. See,
I know that's right. Absolutely.
I think sometimes you think you won it.
No,
already.
I did not. No, absolutely. I know I didn't. Now I've won it in the past, and the fact my family's won 5 of them. I know what it looks like, and that's why I think we have the goods to do it. And nobody's going to convince me otherwise. And until they say, hey, you guys don't play this week because you're out of the playoffs or whatever. But to me, we're going for it, and that's the only goal we have. And I just want our guys to vision that, what? Because they know that I'm speaking from the heart, and I'm telling you what I believe to be the truth. Is it the truth? We're going to find out. And the great thing is I can't wait because we get to prove it on the field, and we'll see who's right.
So how much of it's show and how much of it's real? How much of it do you really believe?
100% of it.
No, it's not. It's
Yes,
not
it
100.
is.
It's not 100.
It's 100%.
No. This
Yes,
goes
it is.
on in here.
No.
Too.
My first
your
year.
father was blustery. You do it more with a sense of humor. He really ticked off Jimmy Johnson back in those old days. I mean, with the bounties, and he's a high school coach, and I mean, he was nastier than you. You do it with a smile more than he did. He was ornery. He was really ornery. He really was. I was around that 80. I was around that that great Bear defense. I actually was at 5 games that year. Did all the playoff games for the NFL, and it was almost like 2 teams. It was weird because it was like he and Dick didn't really interact much. It was kind of like 2 different teams. It was a strange team in that way. It was almost like I've never been around a team that seemed like it was 2 different teams. It was odd, but they were the best defense I've ever seen.
Oh man, me too.
Sanchez the other day, I'm saying, you're nuts. What are you talking about? I mean, that defense. I saw them shut out the Giants. I saw them next week shut out Dieter Brock. I saw them win 46-10 in the Super Bowl. I saw them twice in the regular season. I wasn't at the Miami game; they lost. And the year before, I actually was at their championship game when they got shut out. But the defense played really well against the Niners. They lost 20-0 with Steve Fuller quarterbacking a year before, but they played really good defensively in that game. They were coming, so that was an all-time defense.
Yeah,
that was the
no
best
question.
defense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I was part of that 2000 Raven.
Where were you that year? What were you doing that year?
In 85 or 2000?
86.
And,
with the great bad team, what were you doing?
I was in college.
You were in college. Did you go ever spend any time around that team, or were you just watching on TV?
Well, for the most part, I watched on TV. I was at a few of the games when they beat Dallas 44-0. I was there, so I was around those guys for the mini camps and all that type of stuff, some training camp stuff. But
what do you take from your father most? What's the thing you take most from your father?
And be true to yourself, and I think coaches come in the league that you get this unbelievable opportunity. Because I'm just an average guy, but I've been given an unbelievable opportunity.
Right.
And I think people blow it because they try to, hey, I've got to act this way. If I was going to act differently, all these things you bring up about me and all that, I'm just going to be true to myself. And I think at the end of the day, that's why it works. If I came in here and tried to coach like Bill Belichick or Parcells or anybody else, I'm not them. Those guys are great coaches, but they're great coaches because they're true to themselves. And for me to be the best coach I can be, I have to be true because the players will see right through.
Are you a great coach?
You know what? I know I'm a great defensive coach, and I'm trying to become a great head coach.
So do you think you're going to be a great head coach?
I know I will be.
You know you will be?
Yep.
You don't even think you will be. You know you will be.
And it's not because it's about my passion and my dedication to the game, but it's also about the guys I surround myself with. And that's why I think, because that's what it takes to be a great head coach. I think you have to surround yourself with great people. Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick.
Right.
They're going to.
They had great staff, yeah.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, they're going to.
Do you have a great staff?
I have the best staff in football.
Why?
Because you look at it starts when you can look at special teams. Mike Westhoff.
Excellent.
That's a Hall of Fame special team coach.
Maybe the best, one of the best ever.
I think so. And just ask him. He'll tell you.
He'll be on later. He'll tell you.
Absolutely.
He'll tell you.
I love him. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love him. You look at Brian Schottenheimer, that offense staff. Bill, all you have on it is Schottenheimer, Bill Callahan, Henry Ellard, Anthony Lynn. I mean, it's a who's who. Mike Devlin. It's an unbelievable coaching staff. And on defense, Mike Pettin is going to be a star. Like, he is going to be a head coach in this league. He already is a star in this league. As our coordinator, Dennis Thurman, who I just think's the best. I've been around him for 10 years and the best secondary coach in the league. And again, I know people, it's always saying the best because
you do say all your players are the best.
I agree.
You can't have all your players the best, otherwise you'd never lose a game. I mean, you don't ever say this player's okay. You say every player's the best. So people say, hey, he's full of baloney. Because everything's the best with you. Everything's always the best.
Because I think I have it better than anybody.
Okay.
Now, are these facilities best in the league?
No.
Oh, you're crazy.
No.
You're crazy. Yes, they are.
No.
Not even close. You can't say it.
The Timex building's better.
You can't say it.
No, I haven't been through this